Androids, avatars, and animations aim for extreme realism but get caught in a disturbing chasm dubbed the uncanny valley. They are extremely realistic and lifelike. But when we examine them, we see they are not quite human. When a robotic or animated depiction lies in this valley, people tend to feel a sense of unease, strangeness, disgust, or creepiness. You've probably experienced the feeling before. Perhaps while watching a CGI animated movie or playing a video game. The animated human might look almost real, but that slight chasm between looking almost human and fully human leaves you feeling discomfort or even revulsion. The phenomenon has implications for the field of robotics and artificial intelligence. Devices and online avatars that are made to help mimic the human touch may actually end up alienating people who are using such tools. Origins of the uncanny valley. The phenomenon was first coined and described by the Japanese roboticist Masahiro Mori in an article published in 1970. Mori identified the phenomenon as Bukimi no Tani Genshi, meaning Valley of Eeriness. In 1978, author Josiah Reichardt translated the term uncanny valley in the book Robots, Fact, Fiction, and Prediction. In his work, Mori noted that people found his robots more appealing if they look more human. While people found his robots more appealing the more human they appeared, this only worked up to a certain point. When robots appear close but not quite human, people tend to feel uncomfortable or even disgusted. Once the uncanny valley has been reached, people feel uneasy, disturbed, and sometimes afraid. I have noticed that, in climbing toward the goal of making robots appear human, our affinity for them increases until we come to a valley, which I call the uncanny valley. Mori explained in his seminal paper on the topic. Mori used several examples to clarify this idea. An industrial robot has little human likeness and therefore generates little affinity in observers. A toy robot, on the other hand, has a more human likeness and tends to be more appealing. A prosthetic hand, he noted, tends to lie in this uncanny valley. It can be highly lifelike yet generates feelings of unease. Something unsettling is happening across beauty talk. The monumental rise of AI-generated content has collided with the tail end of last year's spooky Halloween transformations for an unnerving TikTok beauty trend that's leaving viewers feeling uncomfortable. And not always for the reason you'd think. The Uncanny Valley makeup hashtag has quickly risen to more than 146 million views, with beauty creators clunkily using makeup to appear robotic, doll-like and not quite human. Each video is soundtracked by the same eerie and off-kilter choral tune, taken from the intro of Brutus by rapper The Buttress, which taps into the esoteric and offbeat #weirdcore and #dreamcore videos that are simultaneously trending in the app. It's not really something you want popping onto your Explore page during a late-night scroll. Techniques to create this uncanny look vary from person to person, but will often include blocking out large portions of the eyebrow with concealer before filling in the hair using a darker than natural color, as well as contouring that often feels very theatrical. Eyes are made to seem smaller and cartoonish by using eyeliner that focuses on the center of both lids. Occasionally there's a synthetic wig involved too. It's not just makeup, there's also an uncanny valley makeup-inspired filter so those who aren't handy with a makeup brush can get involved. While some TikTokers have recreated the look entirely through exaggerated facial expressions, robotics and artificial intelligence says that humans have been trying to achieve this uncanniness through makeup for years. Traditionally, geishas were used as an example of the uncanny valley effect in makeup, as the objective of their look was to recreate the tonality of porcelain ceramics, giving them an ethereal appearance to make them stand out, he says. The Barbie look may be a modern example of this. It is a way of using makeup to create a plastic-like, light reflective skin complexion, or changing the contours of the face to emulate smooth doll-like features. You may freak out, for example, while watching a clip of Sophia the Robot, the live-action Cats musical remake, or the Polar Express. Moore's theory was also supported by this 2019 study, which identified the areas of the brain that reject and accept these human-like artificial entities. With human-like robots and AI on the rise, it's only natural that interest increases, but why exactly are people so interested in making themselves appear uncanny? For TikTok, I think this is a very fun thing to do that lets you explore a very different role, says Dr. Dennis K. Streeter, a postdoctoral researcher at the Cognitive Systems Lab at the University of Bremen. It is certainly possible to produce an effect of unease and discomfort via makeup and costumes. However, there are ways in which this differs from the uncanny valley effect once you consider the wider theory. Firstly, he explains, the uncanny valley effect on TikTok has been reversed. The uncanny valley effect involves looking at an entity, usually some kind of robot, that may appear to be almost human at first glance, but then you look a little closer and discover that it is actually not human. He says, if a human is using makeup to look less human, or less alive, then the later parts of this perceptual process differ because the result is the opposite. Abby Sheffer is a content creator with alopecia living in New York, who responded to the trend with her own video highlighting the similarities between the techniques used in the uncanny valley beauty look and her own everyday beauty routine. Many of the people attempting this makeup trend usually start by concealing all of their features, especially their brows, which was interesting to me as someone who naturally has no brows due to alopecia. Sheffer tells Dazed, drawing on my brows is part of my daily makeup routine, and I like to think I do a pretty good job of drawing them on realistically, but I was a little irked by the concept that someone not having brows, or having drawn on brows, is inherently uncanny. She also notes how one example she saw had a girl using a bald cap. It quickly became pretty apparent that not many people doing the trend even understood what uncanny valley means. Instead of creating an almost human look, they were treating it as though it were synonymous with anything creepy or weird, which isn't quite accurate. Even from a grammatical standpoint, the trend often falls flat. Turning myself into uncanny valley makes it more obvious that some creators are joining in without really understanding what they're getting themselves into. Despite all the confusion, UNCANNY has shown some outstanding creativity and initiative amongst the beauty community, which should be celebrated. After all, it's not always about being scientifically accurate. Sometimes it's just about watching budding makeup artists and amateur entertainers have fun. So when something approaches a point where it seems to transition to one to the other, it can trigger feelings of cognitive dissonance. When people hold conflicting beliefs, they tend to experience feelings of psychological discomfort. In this case, there is a conflict between the belief that an entity is human and the belief that it is not human. Something that looked human might abruptly appear non-human, or it may even shift back and forth as the viewer observes it. The artificial representation is realistic enough to almost fool you into thinking it is alive, but it falls short of reality just enough that it clashes with your expectations of how a real living person would behave. This mismatch between what you are seeing and your expectations may make you feel ambivalent or even threatened. In other words, it creeps you out. Children's responses. A 2014 study found that children between the ages of 9 and 11 were also prone to experiencing feelings of uncanniness in response to human-like virtual characters. Virtual human-like characters were seen as being stranger and less friendly. Interestingly, these feelings of unease were more pronounced in instances where the characters lacked upper facial expression. Startled facial expressions were also more likely to be perceived as uncanny. Can it be prevented? And not everyone agrees that the valley itself truly exists. For example, one of the earliest scientific investigations on the phenomenon was conducted in 2005 and concluded that the eerie feeling people experience has more to do with poor design and aesthetics, something that can occur at any level of realism. While people certainly experience a sense of the uncanny in some cases, the research proposed that the valley could be overcome with good design. Implications of the uncanny valley. The uncanny valley has a number of implications in various fields. These include robotics. As people rely more and more on robotic technology, it is important to design devices that do not create uneasiness or distrust. This is particularly true in the development of assistive technologies designed to help people with disabilities perform tasks and interact with their environments. People are more likely to be receptive to designs that are both useful and appealing. Designs that fall into the uncanny valley are likely to be poorly received and utilized less frequently. Digital avatars. These representations are used in a number of areas, including online customer service and online therapy. In the field of online therapy, digital representations are often utilized to facilitate online communication between therapists and clients, particularly in situations that involve online chat or email communication. 10. When they are effectively used, avatars may help promote the therapeutic relationship, but overly realistic depictions may interfere with the process. For example, one study found that robots that look too human-like were often rated as being not only less likable but also less trustworthy, which would pose considerable problems in a therapeutic context since trust is so important to the success of treatment. Film. As blockbuster films increasingly rely on CGI effects, filmmakers have continued to work toward developing realistic, computer-generated animations that blend seamlessly and don't provoke the uncanny valley. While many animated films are often criticized for their unrealistic depictions of the human form, such designs featuring overly large eyes and other dramatically exaggerated features. This may often be an intentional strategy to avoid the uncanny valley. Game design. The uncanny valley can also have an impact on how players react to realistic characters in video games. In some cases, designers may take advantage of the uncanny valley to create a sense of dyspathy for villainous characters. If you enjoyed this video and you would love to see more from us, please like and subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to comment your thoughts and share our video. Don't forget to check out our other videos too.
What if I just go on a walk right now? Like, what if I just go outside and go on a walk? Like, nothing's stopping me. I probably shouldn't, but I want to.